this video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how I'm training towards my next few races, which are going to be some pretty big ones, including the Challenge Champs, where obviously I want to be as good and as competitive as I possibly can be against some of the best athletes out there. So I'm going to sit down later, go through a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, show you guys exactly what I'm doing. But before that, so I'll bring you along for today's training, which is going to be a really nice brick session. And we've got a slight dilemma because we have been blessed with some incredible weather in the UK this weekend. And so it would be silly to not go out and enjoy that on the TT bike. The slight issue I do have is I don't really want to be using my race wheels outside. It's not that they won't be nice. I would absolutely love riding them outside. It's just the fact that I want to keep the tyres that are on these wheels super fresh for race day, mostly because they cost an arm and a leg to replace. I think the Conti 5000 tyres are like 70 odd quid a pop if you don't get them at a discount, which they rarely are discounted, so they're expensive. So I want to keep the race tyres really fresh, so no race wheels for me today. My only other option is to get these wheels from the Caledonia. By the way, as you can tell, I love Tamwell tyres. They make you go quicker. These wheels on here, which is what I did during the Lanzarote camp. The slight issue is these tyres are 32s, and I just don't know if 32mm tyres will fit within this frame. We're going to give it a go. If they do fit, then awesome. If they don't fit, do I really want to do 3 hours on the turbo when the sun is shining? Not really. But then I really want to keep my race tyres nice and fresh. Slight dilemma. Anyway, we're going to see if we can get this sorted so we can head out. Okay, so I'm actually genuinely surprised by this. I didn't think there would be enough clearance, but seems absolutely fine. Kind of. No rubbing. So I think we're all good. Thank God for disc brakes, eh? I'm dressing like a proper cyclist today. Got white on white. On white. Someone reminded me the other day on Instagram. The only issue is that thing does give away that I'm a massive triathlete chopper. Session today is 3 hours in total, and we've got a pretty standard kind of like fundamental 70.3 type session for me. If I'm feeling good, I love this session. If I'm not feeling good, I do question my life choices. It's 3 by 20 minutes at sweet spot, which is going to be like between 310 and 320 watts. We'll see how we go. I've mentioned before the power meter on that bike is a little bit off. It's definitely like around sort of 4% out. It's really not that good. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit low, but we'll see how we go. Generally at like that sort of power, it's maybe like between 12 and 15 watts out. But anyway, we'll go a lot by feel as well, and we'll just see what the numbers are like. And then we've got a run off to do as well. So without any further ado, let's crack on. 45 minutes in, I'm going to start first rep at about an hour. First wee stop of the day, probably the first of many. What do we think? Skinny wheels? Do the tan tyres make it look any better? I'll be honest, I don't think so. I think skinny wheels on a TT bike just looks wrong. But yeah, the sun is kind of not really showing itself, and I'm pretty cold, so just gonna have to go full send, aren't we? Two down, one to go. First one 314, second one 320, third one we'll see what we got. Legs are feeling alright, mediocre, not incredible but also not rubbish, which is nice. And again, like this power meter, it's a little bit like I know you're probably thinking, oh, that's just a good excuse, Harry, for not putting out much power, but it definitely is. Although it's also a good excuse. It is definitely an under-reading power meter, so I might need to get that sorted. Last 20 done, 322, so nice to see a little sort of pick up on each one, and I definitely picked it up towards the end of that because the first 5 minutes was very start and stoppy through Castle Combe. So busy, like, I mean, I've lived here around this area like my whole life, cycled these lanes on a lot of the holiday period. I've never seen Castle Combe that busy. It's actually crazy. I know it's like, it's a small pretty village in the Cotswolds, but what else do you have to look at? Like, I don't know why it gets so busy. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe comment in the comment section below if you know why it gets so busy at Castle Combe. It's mental. Like, I know it looks nice, but I think of plenty of other things I'd rather do. Maybe I'm just weird. Nothing crazy actually this run off, because I'm already on quite a lot of running this week. It's actually probably the biggest run week I've done. So yeah, we've already banked quite a lot of mileage, but the session is okay at like 3:20, so sort of top end, like 70.3 pace, I guess. Like, that's shifting a little bit, and then settle into like 4-minute Ks for 3K, and then we'll do a 3K jog back home. So about 7K in total. Nothing crazy, not a ridiculous run off the bike. Like I said, I'm already quite deep in the running this week, like 60 something K so far, I think, and still got a long run tomorrow to do. So let's get this done. Very mediocre run off. Struggled to get the legs moving fast enough for 320s, but then on the flip side, on the slower ones, I struggled to actually slow down enough. So yeah, it was alright, very mediocre. And now 3K, draggy uphill back home. Legs are feeling heavy. Right, session's done. Feeling a little bit more presentable after my shower, slightly less sweaty. So I thought we'd go through, obviously I've shown you guys the training that was done today, which was alright, pretty mediocre day. Felt okay, but good numbers, so I'm happy. Then I thought I'd show you guys exactly what I'm doing, like what this week has looked like, why I'm focusing on certain things, what I'm focusing on, what I'm going to be focusing on in the future leading up to different races, and just what training actually looks like. Everyone's kind of interested in the data, how much you do, and so I thought I'd kind of, yeah, dedicate this video towards that. So let's dive into training peaks. So this week, as you can see, on a whole, I'm 26 hours and a bit in so far. It is Saturday, so I do have a little bit more to do tomorrow, but tomorrow there's not really any specific intensity. It's just base stuff. It's just meeting the time, essentially. So we'll just be over 30 hours, which is a decent week. It's nothing crazy. Generally what I try to do is sit anywhere from like 27 to 30, and more often than not it's somewhere in the middle. I'm looking at 1,241 TSS points so far. With tomorrow, that'll be probably just shy of 1,500. We'll see. I'm not going to push too hard tomorrow. So it'll be a decent week of TSS. And as you can see, there's a note at the beginning of the week, which is essentially it's a big run week. But if we look at the week as a whole, generally what I try and do is swim 5 times a week, Monday to Friday. I will not swim on the weekends. I refuse, because the weekends are for cycling and running and no swimming. All right? Weekends don't need to be about swimming. And actually, I don't go crazy high volumes on the swimming. You'll notice here, my swims are like hour and 15. I'm doing between 4.5, sometimes 5K. It never really go over 5K. Within the week, that looks like it's anywhere between like 22 to 25 kilometers a week, depending on what we've been looking at. And I really like to keep a really good high intensity session on the Tuesday and a good threshold session on the Thursday. Everything else is like aerobic sort of strength work, bit of hypoxic work. Maybe we'll look at a few different drills and stuff like that, but I really like those two really specific high intensity sessions. The reason why I don't go crazy high volume on the swim is because I don't come from a swimming background. I have worked on my swim a lot, and I am far, far better than I used to be, and I am essentially a fairly good swimmer now. I don't have that really, really deep like background in swimming. So for me, when I get tired, my technique breaks down quite severely, and actually then swimming more is detrimental because I'm reinforcing bad technique.
And so essentially what I do is I'm very sensible in the swimming, in that when I feel tired and when I get to the point where actually doing more is going to be detrimental, I'm just going to get out. So for example, on Friday, I had an aerobic swim. I felt pretty rubbish. I did get to like 3.8k. It was meant to be like a 4.5k set. I could feel myself just being really lazy in the water, not having good technique, not catching properly, dropping my elbow. And I was like, you know what? There's no point. I'm just going to hop out, because I don't want to negatively reinforce bad technique. That's something that I would actually recommend to all of you. Sometimes less is more, and actually what I've found from my swimming is not necessarily force loads of high volume or think I have to hit 4k today or I have to hit 5k today. I will have those goals and I will have a set plan for the session, but if I feel crap and I'm not catching the water properly and I'm having bad technique, there's no point in continuing. So I do find myself kind of like being a little bit sensible with the swim, and it's something that maybe you could implement into your training to make sure that you're positively affecting your swim technique rather than negatively. Then on the bike, just shy of 12 hours in so far, so I should be about 15 hours in tomorrow, which would be really nice. That's kind of my sweet spot. I find anywhere from like 13 to, well, actually more like, yeah, I try and push a little bit more, so more like 14 to 16 hours, and that could look anywhere from 450 kilometers to 520. When we were out in Lanzarote, we were doing like 20-hour weeks and pushing on like over 600 kilometers a week, but then we were doing less running and less swimming. So I find this is like a good sweet spot for me. I really like to do that slightly higher volume on the bike. It's not as high as some other pros out there, but I find that's a really good like level for me where I can sustainably keep going at that 15-hour week and not feel crazy fatigue from that. Running, as I mentioned, it's a slightly bigger week for me. Just trying to work on like adding a bit more fatigue, but fatigue management, and trying to still hit good numbers in sessions. And actually it's worked really well, because the sessions that I have done, I felt really good at. Yes, I felt a little bit sluggish, for example, today. I just felt a little bit flat, but the numbers were still there. So in essence, that's still positive for me. And I do like to hit a good amount of S&C. So as you can see, I missed a session this week, which is really not good, but I did do 3 sessions. Generally, I try and do 4 S&C sessions a week with Tom Crudgington at Body Development, and that really just helps keep everything together, keep me firing on all cylinders and making me strong. If I can get stronger away from triathlon, I can become stronger at triathlon. So that's my take on that. If we quickly look at my dashboard and my performance management graph, it all looks lovely, which, I mean, it should make me feel good, but also, you know, the numbers really don't matter unless you actually prove it on race day and you have a good performance. So really, none of this actually matters. But if we look at this, as of today, right now, my fitness is 160. That is very personal, so don't look at this and think, oh, I should be having those numbers, I should be there, or Harry, your numbers are really low compared to mine. Like it's so personal. It doesn't matter. It's like FTP. It's a dick measuring contest, but ultimately the numbers don't matter. They're so personal. Yeah, it doesn't matter. My fatigue is 195, so that's quite high. My form's minus 33. I can definitely push on a little bit more. If we look over to the left, this is when I was in Lanzarote, so it's quite a steep kind of fitness increase there, because we did go fairly hard for 2 weeks, and I got my fatigue to 215 and my form to minus 93. Now I'm going to be totally honest, I wouldn't recommend that. That was savage, and I could feel myself on the brink of like an injury. I could definitely feel my body starting to fall apart, so I wouldn't recommend doing that at all. And to keep myself in check, I am seeing a physio and having a sports massage every other week, just to make sure I'm doing a bit of prehab, and I guess with the strength work as well, that's a form of prehab as well, to just reduce the risk of injury in the future. Now, going forward, I will be essentially doing more of this. This is the stuff that works well for me, this kind of swim, bike and run load. Just more race specificity essentially towards future races. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, just giving you a little bit of a specific insight into what my training looks like right now. If you have any questions about anything, drop it in the comments section below. I've got loads of really exciting things coming up and I'm super excited for the next few races. So keep following along and please do consider subscribing if you haven't done already. And I'll see you guys in the next video.